Today I will be reviewing the QN85B Samsung 2022 Neo QLED TV. I will also be telling you how it compares to the 2021 QN90A 4K flagship of last year, and we're going to find out the answer whether or not the ADS panel is actually good or something you should totally skip. Let's find out. Before I begin, if you are new to this channel, let me ask you to please remove your OLED tinted sunglasses or your LCD based spectacles, because on this channel I have a great appreciation for both OLED TVs and LCD TVs. I own both, I buy both constantly, and I think that both are amazing at what they do. Both technologies are great in different environments and different use cases. Chances are, if you're locking yourself into just one of these technologies, you could be missing out on a great TV. With that said, I will be reviewing the 55-inch version of this TV for you today, and like usual, I'll have the links for the product in the description below. If you use these links to buy anything at all on that website, it will help out the channel. Thank you so much. So this TV has an ADS panel in every size except for the 85-inch, which is most likely going to have a VA panel like last year's QN85A. This will be the first ADS-based TV review on this channel, so I'll have a lot more to say about ADS a bit later. So the first thing you notice once you set everything up is that the QN85B is very bright. And to me, it feels like it's almost as bright as the QN90A 4K flagship of last year. Since I do not have a QN90A on hand right now, I can't tell you if that is actually true. I'm just going off of memory from doing my review last year. However, I will be getting a QN90B in later for review. While I have this TV, I will put them side by side, so we'll see if the QN90B and the QN85B are identical, and if they are, maybe I could save you guys a little bit of money with this review. So back on the topic of brightness, I feel like this year is a different type of brightness from the QN85B rather than what I saw from the QN90A last year. The light is a lot more focused and it's not spilling across the whole entire image. I like to think of it as a controlled light source. Basically, the things that are intended to stand out as the brightest objects in the picture really stand out, and the things that are intended to be darker in the background definitely don't feel like they're getting unintentional light like in previous years' QLED TVs. Because of that, and because of the picture processing improvements, I think what you're going to hear a lot of TV reviewers say this year is that the picture has a sense of three-dimensional depth to it. And I can say without a doubt, this seems to be the case. While Samsung processing has achieved this in previous years on select content, especially nature-based content, this year I feel like Samsung really delivered beyond that. Even in movies and video games, I noticed the image separating from the background more than ever. When looking at a video with high brightness and great color, that is where you see this effect the most. Believe it or not, this is actually a feature that Samsung added that they are calling the Real Depth Enhancer, which again is another unbelievable picture quality enhancement done by processing from a TV company. And so this multi-intelligence picture quality algorithm really seems to work and deliver on what it has intended and what it's really advertised to do. Another feature that Samsung talked about was the shape adaptive light technology, and what this does is enhances the brightness and accuracy of all shapes on the screen. This is what I was referring to when I was speaking of the controlled light source. Let me try to put this in a real world example for you. So let's say you have a light source coming from a street lamp, and that street lamp is awkwardly shaped. In the previous years, you would see it just come off as maybe like a circle of light, and everything around that was kind of glowing, and then that would also present sort of a blooming effect. This year, it's more so the light is shaped into the lamp, like so whatever shape the lamp is and whatever shape the light bulb is, that is where you're going to see the light source. And so you're definitely getting more controlled light. Not only will that now make it look more OLED-like, it will also make it feel more realistic and cut down on the blooming as well. If you couple that with increasing the brightness level from 12 to 14-bit gradation, which allows the TV to control the lighting across 16,384 steps, which is 4 times the 4,096 steps that was previously there in last year's model. Now it's important to not get this confused. Your TV is still 10-bit. Not only is this going to present a more accurate dynamic range for the video that you're viewing, but it's also going to improve upscaling as well. So these are some new processing enhancements that Samsung has added that you definitely see working. Now, like usual, terminology and things that are marketing terms always leave me a bit skeptical, but I think like the XR processor, this is more than just marketing. This is real technology at work, and I have to pay attention to it because it is making the TV better. And I can see that with my own eyes, and I believe you will be able to see that with your own eyes too if you see one of these sometime this year. Now, I apologize if what I just said went over top of your head and you didn't really understand much of what I was talking about. Let's just try to think of this as the Sony XR processor of last year. It just seems to work as advertised, and really, it's truly a sight to behold at times. So now that we got the technology out of the way, let's talk about the contrast and black level, and then I'll move on to movie watching, gaming, and screen uniformity a bit later. Okay, so being an ADS panel, my expectations were low based on the feedback from previous year's ADS panel reviews that were out there. Based on the public perception of all of that, I was expecting the black levels to be horrible. Truth is, they're far from that. As long as you're directly on with the TV at eye level, the black level is done very well. And I say this because at an angle, it really starts to show its cracks, but I'll talk about that a little bit more in depth in just a second. Truthfully, I don't know if they're as good as the QN90A or QN90B. The VA panel from those naturally will likely give you a better black performance, but from what I am seeing, the black levels are not as bad as you may have been led to believe and should satisfy most users. I know a lot of people are probably going to throw around the contrast ratio numbers test, and I really don't think that's a great test for today's TVs, because it doesn't accurately display the true levels of black that you're getting with the help of things like local dimming, processing, and its controlled algorithm really helping the TV achieve its inky blacks. Also, please try to ignore the message that an ADS or IPS panel is going to give you better viewing angles, because for a mini LED TV, a lot of that is not true. Yes, you will get better colors, but mini LED will start to fall apart at an angle. Let me explain. So when viewing mini LED at an angle, bright objects on a solid black background like subtitles present a white glow around it, and you will likely hear this referred to as off-angle blooming. This is true even with the QN90A I reviewed last year that had a VA panel. When coupled with an ADS panel, this effect actually gets a lot worse. So if you're watching from an angle constantly or you're mounting your TV high up, I just can't recommend you buy this TV if you're somebody who watches a lot of the scenes that will present the problems. Alright, now let's talk about the movie performance. Last year, the QN90A at launch I reviewed exhibited quite a bit of black crush, and shadow detail was often lost because of this. From what I see with the QN85B, a lot of these issues have been resolved. Not only is there a minimal amount of black crush going on, but the shadow detail has really been improved thanks to a lot of the processing improvements that I mentioned a bit earlier. I also really enjoy Samsung's tone mapping. If you use standard local dimming, you can preserve highlight detail up to 4,000 nits, which can definitely make highlights stick out more than any other TV on the market. If you use high local dimming, you can turn off tone mapping and engage a more aggressive dimming algorithm. This will give you the best depth when it comes to picture quality. Since filmmaker mode and movie mode are so close together, I usually keep one at standard and the other at high. I switch between those two to see which gives me the most satisfying picture experience. Now, when watching older movies, I noticed the upscaling was a lot better than previous years as well, and it was very noticeable. I think this was close to what Sony's XR processor does with the upscaling, and it's way better than LG's upscaling. At times, certain 1080p content would look native 4K. For example, Samsung's TV Plus had older shows on there and they got upscaled surprisingly well. I was definitely shocked at how good Samsung TV Plus looked now, so yeah, upscaling is a lot better. When talking about the movie experience, I can't forget to mention the black bars. They are what you would expect from Samsung. solid black, and rarely if ever did I notice light seeping in from the movies. Blooming, when it did occur in real content, is controlled for the most part and hardly ever distracting to my eye. Of course, I have to mention that there will be blooming from time to time as any other LCD TV. If you're watching from an angle, this is one of those experiences that is really going to make a lot of people frustrated. And so consider this TV only if you're watching straight on. I really want to be clear on that this is not a TV that you want to get if you are constantly watching from an angle. Next, I'll talk about the picture modes, and then we can talk about panel uniformity, gaming, and then black level performance. So in 2022, there are 4 picture modes, well really 6 if you consider the 2 intelligent modes, and new this year with the intelligent mode is the eye comfort mode, which will reduce the incoming blue light to cut down on eye strain. Here I am going to shuffle through each picture mode and show you what it looks like on this example. Here is what movie mode looks like. This is filmmaker mode. This is now dynamic mode. And here is standard mode. I will now engage intelligent mode. That's what you're seeing right here. And now I will engage intelligent eye comfort mode. It's important to note that you can change the color temperature and color space of intelligent mode if this is a feature that you want to use. Next, let me briefly touch on panel uniformity. So when doing the DSE test, you actually do see some DSE, however you're not going to be able to test an LCD TV and not be able to find DSE. Anybody that said they did this and didn't find a little bit of DSE, well chances are they're probably lying to you. I've seen so many LCD TVs through the years and all of them had some sort of DSE to an extent. So it's not a matter of does it have DSE, it's more of a matter of how bad is it and does it affect your regular viewing content. In my case, you could see the DSE on the tests, but for regular content, it didn't seem to bother me that much. If you're somebody who feels they are sensitive to DSE, your best bet will probably be to go with an OLED TV. But that said, there's still uniformity issues with that as well. You're not always going to have a clean panel. Of course, your screen will be different than mine, and it will be either better or worse. It's just what they call a panel lottery, and that's a pretty true statement with any TV, regardless of the technology that's inside of it. As far as gaming goes, let me just briefly touch on it because I will be doing a separate gaming review, but let me just say that the game mode is a lot better than the QN90A. The local dimming performance is spectacular. Just take a look at how it's doing right here on Tetris Effect, which is my personal LCD stress test. Playing bright games like Fortnite gave me the brightest LCD gaming experience that I've had from a TV to date, and then playing a game like Elden Ring being in a dark environment but still getting those bright specular highlights was something else entirely that I did not expect. There's new gaming features that really made me happy, like the new game modes preset where you can set custom game modes for each specific games with a wide range of adjustable settings. I've always wanted this in a gaming TV, and so this is a very welcome change. I went more in depth about this in my first impressions video, so if you haven't seen that yet, make sure you check that out after this review. Those of you wondering how the backlight performance is, well, like I said, it's better than the QN90A. It's a lot faster and things just seem to respond a lot better in general. Samsung seemed to do a really good job with game mode this year. I can't wait to give my full gaming review of this TV and dive into it a lot more, so stay tuned. Doing the black uniformity test, it was about what I would expect. It's not as good as a VA panel, but when the lights are off and you have a little bit of ambient light, I think a lot of people will be amazed at the black level for being an ADS panel. Local dimming doesn't seem to be the greatest thing to test with these stress tests, and I do think that these tests are a bit unfair because the algorithm wasn't programmed to work for these tests. But when you put the local dimming to work in real content and real games, I think you will see how good the local dimming algorithm actually is. The local dimming seems like it's better than it was the last few years, and it's giving you great black levels while trying to also give you the brightest specular highlights and minimize on blooming at the same time, instead of previous years where you're giving up one for the other. Also, a note on the dimming zones, there is 576 local dimming zones just like last year and just like the QN90A of last year as well. And I wouldn't be surprised if the QN90B was also 576 local dimming zones. Really quickly, let me talk about sports. I think that sports on this TV is absolutely excellent. I think this TV is probably good with any type of sports. Testing the motion overall felt a lot like last year's QN90A. It's a typical Samsung motion. If you're somebody who doesn't like a little bit of soap opera effect, then you might not like the motion on this TV. But if you had a Samsung TV in the last 5 years, then you're probably okay with it because that's what it's been running with for a while now. I personally like the motion and I think that there's nothing wrong with it. It's a very smooth TV overall, especially Game Motion Plus, which I definitely will cover in my gaming review. Let's just say this works as intended and it's really good. So yeah, this TV definitely stepped it up from last year's Neo line. I did not expect such a dramatic change. This TV definitely has me excited to check out the QN90B, and I'll have a review for that, as well as putting the QN90B side by side to the QN85B and seeing what the big differences are. Now, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you guys hit the like button. Let me know what you think of this TV in the comments below. Subscribe to the channel for more 2022 reviews. I have a ton planned. Please consider using my links if you're buying anything at all. And if you want to see more TV content, check out the videos at the end of this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day, and I will see you in the next one.